Chris Paul has reunited with the Clippers for his 21st season. You get what I'm saying? My initial reaction was the fact that this was a solid signing. Chris Paul, he's one of those few players in the NBA that can play on any team and impact in a positive way. He can bring development and experience to a team. He can compete for a championship. He can, add playmaking to a team that doesn't have much playmaking. And yeah, he's one of those few players that can do that. But when I look at the Clippers as a whole, I just think that this is not a team that's built to win the championship. Now, this team reminds me of how the Lakers have been for the past 2-3 seasons, before they got Luka. This team doesn't have an identity. They're just a collection of players. You have a whole bunch of ball handlers and there's only one ball on the court. You get what I'm saying? Because if you look at the team, Bradley Beal's more of a ball-dominant ISO player. He's not really an off-the-ball player. You have James Harden the same way. He's not really off-ball, but he does add a little bit more playmaking. You have Kawhi the same way. He's more of a catch-and-shoot spot-up, but he became more ball-dominant later in his career. And then you have a player like Chris Paul. You know what I'm saying? The same way. He's not a spot-up shooter, but he's known as a playmaker. And, in situations like that, there is going to be times where I think that the Clippers, they're going to lack consistency. You know what I'm saying? Or they're going to lack rhythm. To me, this is not a group that's going to mesh well. But moving to the defensive side of the ball, James Harden's not a defender. Bradley Beal's not a defender. And Chris Paul, at this point in his career, he's a somewhat of a solid defender. He's not what he used to be, but he's not a pushover. Kawhi, of course, is the main defender. He's their best defender. One of the better perimeter defenders in the league right now. But when you combine inconsistency with not great defense in Bradley Beal and James Harden, there's going to be times where you don't know what the Clippers are doing. The only bright spot I do see in this year's free agency for the Clippers is the fact that they signed Brook Lopez, who basically can be a starter on pretty much majority of the NBA, mainly the Lakers, but you have him as your backup. You get what I'm saying? Now, in a league where the need for big men is at an all-time high, you know what I'm saying, you can't ask for a better situation at the big man position. You know what I'm saying? And then you add a player like John Collins, who is consistent. You get what I'm saying? So I do see those two as the main bright spots. You add John Collins, he's not really a player that's going to put the ball on the floor. He's not really a playmaker, but he is going to, in pick and roll situations with Chris Paul, he's definitely going to specialize in that. You get what I'm saying? Lob threat, can run the floor, can hit the three. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with Brook Lopez. So I do think that duo is solid. You know what I'm saying? They definitely gotten better in that aspect. And you combine that with Ivica Zubac. So you basically have 2 7-footers in a versatile 4-man. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of versatility at that position. Going back to, the point guard and the guard situation, it's going to be weird how, Chris Paul and James Harden and Bradley Beal mesh together, because James Harden is, at this stage of his career, he's more of a playmaker. He's not the same James Harden where he's looking to score first. And then you look at Chris Paul, who's pretty much looking to pass first, the same thing as James Harden. And then you have a player like Bradley Beal looking to score first. You get what I'm saying? So I wonder how they're going to figure that out. Are they going to start James Harden and Chris Paul together? Are they going to start James Harden with Bradley Beal at the 2, which most likely they're going to do? But then if you do that, you got to think about the inconsistency. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to think there might be times where Kawhi is not in the lineup, due to injury. You get what I'm saying? Because for these past few years, it's been impossible to keep Kawhi healthy. You know what I'm saying? Regardless. But when he's on the floor, they look like a completely different team. Or when he's on the floor, he's definitely going to be impactful. But it's just by him being on the floor. So yeah, it's interesting to see with what they do with that tandem. But I think as far as the front court, they're set. You get what I'm saying? They definitely make some great moves. But yeah, it's interesting to see what they're going to do with the backcourt. And like I said before, the next biggest thing that's going to happen with them is going to be the injuries. Can they contain the injuries? Because this is definitely a team that if a player like James Harden or Kawhi go down with an injury, this is definitely a team that is not going to stay afloat. This team is going to have to rely heavily on Kawhi and James Harden being on the floor because of what they bring to the table, especially Kawhi bringing his defense, his defensive versatility, and being able to score. I don't really look at this team making it to the finals. I know a lot of people there saying this is a championship team, but it's not. Because if you look at this team, everybody's pretty much out of their prime. You know what I'm saying? So people that's expecting Bradley Beal to score 30, it's not going to happen. I think people are expecting Bradley Beal to be the same Bradley Beal he was 3-4 years ago when he was on the Wizards averaging 30. He's not that same Bradley Beal. Even with a player like Brook Lopez, he doesn't show up on the offensive side of the ball. He's not as aggressive. I think he's going to have to be more aggressive on the offensive side of the ball in order for them to really be able to contend. Just given the fact that the upside he has with him being 7 foot and how big he is. But I think defensively, this is a good fit. He's not going to start for the Clippers. You get what I'm saying? So it does relieve some of the pressure off of Brook Lopez, which can help him, play better. Because if he doesn't have as much pressure as he did with the Bucks, with him being the big man and with him being the main big man, maybe a situation like this will give him more freedom to play more aggressive. This team is a very interesting team. This is probably the most interesting roster in the league. You know what I'm saying? I think it's between the Clippers and the Pelicans, where it can go really good, or it can go real bad, real fast. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just so many outcomes of this team. You know what I'm saying? Or it's just so many potential things that can happen with this team. Maybe Kawhi stays healthy and stay majority of the season, or maybe Bradley Beal can get back to at least half of what he was in Washington. You know what I'm saying? Which I don't think, because this is pretty much a similar situation of the Suns. The only difference is you have a player like Chris Paul, but as far as Bradley Beal's role, it's going to be the same thing. His role actually might be diminished given that you have a player like Chris Paul. We'll see. I don't really know what to expect from this team. I do think they're going to make the playoffs. It's just a matter of what they can do in the playoffs. And I don't see this team coming out the West. Just the fact of all the different teams they done had in the past 5 to 10 years, I don't really see a big difference between the team that they have now. And they haven't gotten that much better, and they're only getting older. What you see is what you get. I appreciate y'all for watching. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe.